Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We got a good episode out for y'all today.
We are back.
We're going to cover 3 topics, and those topics are going to be how to pick a market for real estate investing or land, flipping land, wholesaling.
Oh, yeah.
Or even wholesaling in general. And we're also going to let you know how to get a list for that county. What kind of list would we, recommend for you to go ahead and start doing deals out in that market pretty quickly as well. And Gabe, what's the third topic we're going to be talking about today?
We're going to go ahead and show you how to market to land sellers and get you some leads and get you some deals coming in.
Awesome. So this is going to be a 3 to 4 part series. This is going to be the first part of that. So this is going to be everything that you need to do to go ahead and take action and go ahead and start pursuing your real estate journey and any type of investing that you're trying to do. So we're going to get right into that right now.
All right, Josh. So for anybody wanting to get started into land investing, real estate, what's the number one thing that they got to get started to do?
All right. So the first thing that you're going to need to do when you are going to want to start, real estate investing, land wholesaling, land flipping, any type of real estate investing that you want to do, the number one thing that you're going to need to have first to start off with is to have that market in that area on where you want to do deals in. Because if you don't have the market in the area to do deals in, then you're not going to know where to market to. Here's going to be a few tips for picking that market. So one, I would avoid any of the big metropolitan areas. And when I say the big metropolitans, I'm talking about, the cities in the counties and areas that have, over, let's say, 1 million to 2 million people, the top 10 to 15 cities in the United States. I would avoid the inner city parts of those, cities as well, because those are going to be very competitive with builders and developers trying to buy, as many parcels and plots of land within that city as they possibly can, so they can go ahead and develop their houses and all the projects that they want to, do and pursue as well. So avoiding the inner city of the big metropolitans, that's going to be a good tip if you want to start doing deals in the next 30 to 60 days. Not saying that there aren't any deals in the inner city. There's plenty of deals, but they're going to be, higher price points. They're going to be having more people going after them. And so if you are in a big metropolitan, I would say, pick the few counties that are outside of the big metropolitans, because those are going to be great areas, especially if the areas, growing and booming, like certain parts of Texas, certain parts of Florida, even Arizona as well. They're having certain parts outside these metros that are, they're starting to grow and develop more. So, those counties outside those big metros, they're going to be a great place to start. And let's say you're in a smaller town, I would say, find a state you want to do deals in. And that could be the same state you're already living in. It could be the next state over if you want to make it easier for the laws. Say maybe the laws are weird in your state, with certain parts of real estate investing. And so you kind of want to, let's just say you want to go to the next state. But once you find that state, I would, pick a few counties in that area, and some of the counties that maybe have more land sales, or some of the areas that maybe have more land sales.
Okay, so how do you know if there is a lot of land sales, if there's not a lot of land sales? How do you know what's an attractive way to find this?
Okay, so the land sales, you're going to be able to find them on Zillow and Redfin. So once you have that state, you're able to just to type in on Zillow or Redfin just the state, and it'll show you just that state. And once you go ahead and filter out and only look at land sales, and I would say, maybe look at the sales for the last 12 months, and then I would drop it to the last 6 months, and then, the last 3 months as well, just to try to find the hot counties or the hot areas, or I like to call them pockets, on where the land sales are. So I refer to a pocket as just like a subdivision or a certain part of the county that has a lot of land sales. It could be, really just a subdivision. So once you're going on Zillow and Redfin, you're finding, those areas that have a lot of land sales. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a lot of it is really just finding those areas that have a lot of land sales going on at the time, or even just finding a county that has a lot of land sales going on at the time. The reason I like to find the certain pockets is because it makes it a lot easier than, say, if you pull a list for the whole county and you just start marketing that list. Because you may, as you begin marketing that list of, just say if it was a county list, there's going to be certain areas that aren't going to be as good to go ahead and market to. You may get a deal where it's in this one area where just the land sales there either aren't any, or let's just say they have, a very low price point, like maybe, a couple $1,000s to do deals. But yeah, those are a few tips I would give you real quick. Gabe, do you have any tips for the listeners, for the fans out there on tips on how to pick a market?
I think you nailed it on the head. I mean, you're really going to want to look at the numbers, what's selling, what's not selling. Another thing I could just touch on to add to what he said, you're going to want to make sure there's not a whole lot of actives. There's more actives than solds. You probably don't want to be in that area for the time being. Maybe look at that section later and see if it does come up and they do, convert to sales. That's when I would kind of come back to that and see, can I get a deal here as well and market to the sellers there. But other than that, I mean, you just pay attention to the actives, to solds as well, that variable.
Yeah, that's a very good tip. So what he's saying is that if there's only actives and there's not solds in the area, then you don't want to go ahead and pursue that area because there aren't land sales in that area.
Yeah, nobody's buying, yes.
Yeah, there's only land listings and no land sales. So, you do want to see listings, but you also want to see sales in the areas. If it's only listings, it's not going to be a great area. So I would, like Gabe said, avoid that area for now, and then just find you another area that does have sales. So those are just a few tips on how to pick the market. There's a couple other factors that we could, play in, population size or, growth or jobs in the area, crime. But those are just really a few tips on how to pick a market. It's really not that complicated. On picking it, I would say really just get honed in on a certain area. Just look at land sales. You don't even have to be too familiar with that state or that county to go ahead and start doing deals in. Really, if you know what the properties are selling for, if you're able to see what they're selling for, then you know what you need to lock up properties at. But let's go ahead and get into getting the list for that county, for that pocket, or for that area.
Okay, Josh. So you just gave a lot of good, a lot of great game on, picking the market, the first thing to get started. After we've picked the market, what's going to be the next, action step that we have to take?
All right. So the next action step that you're going to take, one, if you were able to pick a county, and the second step, if you were able to identify a few, hot spots in that county, you've done a great job. That's going to help you out in this next step a lot more. But if you haven't picked out, the certain spots in that county, that's all right as well. As long as you have that county, there's going to be, a few places, a few lists that you're going to want to get to go ahead and, begin marketing either to that county or to those pockets like I was referring to. So one, if you just have the county and you haven't picked out the pockets in the areas, is going to be getting these 2 lists, these 2 to 3 lists. If you want to do deals in the next 30 to 60 days, if you get these lists, if you have a pretty good county with land sales and you're taking consistent action, then you should be able to go ahead and do deals in the next 30 to 60 days. One is getting the tax delinquent list from the county or getting it from another, data provider such as like PropStream or DataTree or even Price.com. If you get it from the county, it's going to be inexpensive. It's probably going to be the cheapest way, but you're going to have to do the most work to that list. So once you get that tax delinquent list, you're going to, call the tax county assessors and ask them, hey, can I get a list of all the people that currently are behind on their taxes right now? So once you get that list of the people that are behind on the taxes right now, you're going to kind of have to scrub that list. And when I say scrub, I mean you're going to have to organize that list and get it to only have the information that you absolutely need to get in contact with that owner. There's going to be a few things that you're going to need from that tax delinquent list. It's going to be the owner's first name and last name.
First name, last name.
The APN, are also known as the assessor's parcel number, really kind of like the parcel ID, so that the county and everybody else is kind of able to
find that file.
Yeah, identify that property. And so once you have the APN, you're also going to either want, if it has a street address, you're going to also want that as well so that you can reference that, or the APN. Sometimes they're not familiar with the APN as well. So if it has a street address, I would always, reference that as well. Or, and the other thing you're going to need is the mailing address. because you're gonna need the mailing address pretty much for any type of marketing that you're gonna need to do. And we're gonna get into the marketing in this next step, but first we're still on the count on getting the list. So once you get that list from that county, the tax delinquent list, you can go ahead and start marketing to that list. The other list I would also get would be an out-of-state owners list. And like I said, I would also get that from propstream.com or, Datatree or price.com. Me and Gabe, we don't have any affiliation with any of those, but
Not yet.
But PropStream, we're waiting on it. But those are a few service providers that you can go ahead and get data from. And getting that out-of-state owners list, you can just click the county, click out-of-state owners, vacant land parcels only. And, it could be residential land, vacant land, agricultural land. So that is another thing that we kind of skimmed over, is the land type as well. And once you have the county, you can also do, agricultural land. Everything I just said right now. Commercial. You can do commercial vacant land, residential, infill lots to, subdivisions that already have utilities and everything like that as well. And once you have the tax delinquent, the out-of-state owners list, and it's at least a couple hundred properties, I would say at least have 1,000 to 2,000 properties on those lists together. Mm-hmm. That's gonna be a great place to start. If you have 2,000 people that owe taxes and that are owe taxes and are out of state, that's gonna be a very great place to start.
Okay, Josh. So you just told us 2 lists that we could use on how to talk to these, sellers or possible leads in that area of the county. What do we do next after we have the list?
Great question again. The next thing you're going to need to do is start marketing to those land sellers. This is going to be the biggest step on everything I just went over. You can have the market, you can have the list for the county, but if you don't market to those people, then you're not taking action. This is going to be the biggest action step for you to go ahead and start doing deals in the next 30 to 60 days, is marketing to those land sellers. So there's going to be, 3 relative ways for you to start doing deals pretty quickly in that market.
Yes.
The cheapest way for you to go ahead and get in contact, and one of the most efficient ways, is going to be SMS marketing. SMS marketing is pretty much just text messages that you're sending out to these landowners and to these, tax delinquent owners on these land parcels and out-of-state owners. Text messaging is going to be the quickest. Not the quickest. It'll be the quickest way for you to get response in that market. The cheapest way for you to begin marketing. And you're saying, hey, Joshua, how do I get these phone numbers? How do I get a service to text these landowners? There's going to be a few ways to go about it. There's going to be the free way, which is going to take a little bit more time. Or there's going to be the paid way, which is going to save you a lot of time. It's going to save you a tremendous amount of time. And the more time you have, the more you're able to go ahead and market out to these land sellers.
And I think, just to touch on what he's talking about too, I think marketing, it's different for everybody. So not everybody has the amount of time that you're going to need to do this. Mm-hmm. But touch on that again though, Josh. So what do we do on the SMS then? Okay,
so the 3 ways to begin marketing. Number 1 is going to be SMS. If you want to do it the paid way is going to be to go ahead and skip trace those landowners. And when I say skip trace, all that really means is, hey, we're getting the phone numbers to these landowners. That's all skip tracing really is just getting the phone numbers for that person, for that prospect. Once you have those phone numbers and you're saying, hey, Joshua, where do I get these phone numbers from? There's a lot of providers out there. If you just look up skip tracing companies out in your area, you're going to find some. There's even people on Fiverr and stuff like that. There's a few that we've used the most that I would recommend, and that's going to be Batch Leads. And they're also able to send the text messages out as well.
For sure.
So Batch, I believe they just came out with their 3.0 version. And the 3.0 version, I believe, if you want to send text messages, it's going to be $300 a month. And then you're also going to have to pay for the phone numbers as well. Mm-hmm. So for, 10,000 landowners, it probably costs you about $1,400, maybe $1,200, depending what plan you get. And so you got that you got that included. You can also get the phone numbers for free using like TruePeopleSearch.com, the paid version of the white pages. You can do that as well, but it's going to take you a lot longer to get every phone number for 2,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
If you just do it in batch and you pay for 2,000 people, what's that, like $200 or $300? It would probably be, you would get that list in about 20 to 30 minutes, if that, probably in a few minutes. And after you get that list back, you can begin sending text messages straight from that platform right away. And in the text messages, I mean, something very super simple like, "Hey Gabe, this is Joshua. I'm a land buyer in such and such county. I saw you own, Maple Drive. Are you the right person to ask about it?" That's gonna be a great question to start the conversation,
Right.
because you're gonna want to confirm, "Hey, I am in contact with the right person." Because with the skip tracing, you're gonna also get a lot of wrong numbers and numbers that aren't the right person as well.
You might get somebody's daughter on that list that stays with the homeowner, anything like that.
Yeah, you may get somebody that's in their family, and you may get their phone number instead. But that's gonna be the SMS way, the text messaging way to do it.
Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, the text messaging way, I don't mean to cut you off. If you have a lot of time, this is definitely one for you to get started in.
Yeah. So with the batch, the one that's $300, I believe on that one you can send 1,000 texts a day. So to get 1,000 texts a day, I mean, you can maybe accomplish that in about 4 hours. I would say if you're pretty focused in on it, you should be able to knock that whole 1,000 list out in about 4 hours, if not under that. Really depends how quick you are. So yeah, about 4 hours a day doing that, texting landowners. The other one is gonna be cold calling. So the second version of to get in contact and marketing out to these land sellers is gonna be cold calling.
Mm-hmm.
So cold calling is pretty much the same exact thing, similar to the SMS, just with your mouth. And you're still gonna need the phone numbers. You're still gonna have to skip trace the people to call them. So you're still looking at that same cost of about, let's just say $1,000 to $1,400 for a list of 10,000 landowners.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got that $1,000. If you've already texted them, then cold calling them is a great way to do that after you've already texted them. And batch also, they also have $1. There's a few more dollars out there.
Which dollar would you recommend?
I mean, there's a few out there. You have, like Call Tools, Ready Mode, which is Zen Call. And that's one we used to use, about a year ago. Right now, we've really just been on the batch dollar lately, because it kind of integrates with, batch leads already. And so that's the one we're already on. Most dollars, they're going to cost you $100 to $150 dollars a month. So, relatively inexpensive compared to, to the SMS marketing. The cold calling and text messages, they're going to be the cheapest ways for you to start getting leads. And the more leads you get is going to convert into deals. Yeah, so that's just a few dollars that we've used before. Gabe, can you go ahead and give the listeners and the fans out there a few tips for cold calling, land sellers? Maybe just a few questions you would ask and kind of how to start off that conversation, so our listeners at least have an idea out there on a few questions that they need to ask the land sellers. We have covered it in a previous video as well.
Go check that one out for sure.
So go check that one out as well. Those are, great questions that we asked that you need to ask also in that video. I'm going to go ahead and drop that link in the right here as well. But Gabe, if you have a few tips.
For cold calling, the main thing with cold calling is you're going to want to be direct to the point. You're not going to say anything along the lines, "Hey, I was just wondering if you're looking to sell." What you're going to want to do is confirm, let them know who you are and why you're calling, the purpose of the call. "Hey, John, I was calling. I see you own that property there in whatever county or subdivision. My name is Gabriel, and I just was seeing if you were looking to sell that property or consider offers at the time." If they're not looking to sell, move on to the next one. You're not here to convince anybody. But if they are looking to sell, wonderful. I'd love to ask you a few questions about that property. Is right now, or do you have a few moments? Yes, I have a few moments. Perfect. And then you're just gonna want to find out as much information about that property as you can. the main things on the cold calling is you're going to want to know the timeline that they're looking to sell, the motivation, why do they want to sell, the price that they're asking, and the best use for the land. What can you do with that land? Is this land landlocked? Do I have access to the property? What is the highest and best use for that land? So if somebody's not looking to sell right now, find out as much as you can. Maybe not treat them as much as a hot lead that's looking to sell at the point. So don't spend like an hour on the phone with them if they're not looking to sell for the next, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. Find somebody who's looking to sell right now, because that's potentially going to put money in your pocket as soon as possible for you to go ahead and scale and go on to more deals and, just get this streamline and everything rolling for yourself. So that's going to be the main points that I would say is the price, the timeline, why they want to sell, and the highest and best use for the land.
Yeah. One more I would also add in there would be just asking about the utilities as well.
Oh, yeah.
And getting that utilities confirmed. And if you're not familiar with land, there's going to be, a few utilities that you're going to need to know. So one is if it is on city water and city sewer. That's going to be great. That's going to make it easier to sell that deal to someone who can kind of just start, developing on that property right away, because they don't have to go ahead and add utilities to that structure or to that land. And if they don't have city water, city sewer, you can go ahead and ask them, is it going to be a water well and septic tank, an aerobic septic tank, or you're going to really want to know about the water, the sewer, and the electricity as well. And, occasionally gas and cable as well. It really just depends on the area. So getting those questions what Gabe asked and the one I just added as well, those are going to be a great start. The thing with cold calling and the texting is you are going to have a lot of tire kickers or a lot of people, raising their hands that aren't going to be as serious. So in that other video we've covered as well, disqualifying them as quick as possible if they're not really motivated is going to be a great way to go ahead and save time, so that you're only talking to true motivated sellers that are looking to sell the property in the next 60 days.
Right. Which leads us into the next form of marketing that you can do for targeting land sellers, land owners. What is that going to be, Josh?
And the third piece is going to be, land letters and postcards. And the good thing about land letters and postcards is that it saves you a lot of time, so that you don't have to be out there, actively marketing every day, through SMS or through cold calling. The land letters and postcards is going to let you, just send out 300 postcards or 300 letters. And then from there, you're kind of just waiting on the calls back.
Right.
On the letters and the postcards, the way to go ahead and there's honestly a lot of ways to do letters and postcards. Just a few is going to be, to have an offer price on that postcard or that letter that says, hey, Mr. Gabriel, I would pay, $5,000 for this land. If you're interested in selling, give me a call back at this number, or here's the link to my website. That's going to be a great place to start. You can start with having offers on that postcard. You can start by just sending out a lot of postcards and saying, hey, if you're interested in selling, give me a call. Very similar to the text messages, but it's really just in a different form, something that they can actually grab and fill. And that's going to be the main difference. If it's just like, if it doesn't have an offer on it and it's just saying, hey, if you're interested, give me a call. So that's going to be like a blank blank postcard. There's the offer price postcard, and there's also, like a range that you can throw in there as well. If you kind of want to just give them a range instead of an actual number, because when you do have the actual numbers, they're gonna call you and say, hey, can you do that price or certain things. The thing with the offers, you don't have to get them, fully 100% accurate. At first, you can
just get the conversation started.
There's been times where me and Gabe have sent postcards out, and it said maybe we'll offer $6,000 for this property, and after taking a look at it, we actually had to be at $4,000 or $3,000, and we
sometimes $1,500.
Yeah, sometimes you may have just misevaluated the whole area, and now you're you have to drop that price and kind of negotiate and get them a little bit lower, and So finding the value for the areas, we're going to go ahead and cover that in the next video that we're going to go ahead and get into. So if you want to know how to find the land values to put on the postcards or what you would offer on the postcards and letters, you're going to want to go ahead and subscribe so that you're able to go ahead and see our next video on how we're able to go ahead and find values and what to offer on those. But those are going to be the three main, marketing types: the SMS marketing, the cold calling, and the letters. They all have the pros and cons.
Yes, sir.
So we'll touch over that briefly real quick, the pros and cons. So, quick few pros and cons for SMS marketing. A few pros is going to be it's cheap, it's quick.
You'll be talking to more people. You'll develop these skills of how to talk to these people. You're gonna build your you're just gonna build like a solid skin. If you're very sensitive, and sales is gonna toughen you up to how these people are talking to you. You're gonna wanna develop these skills, because once you get to more deals, you're gonna be talking to a lot more people. So you want to have thick skin when you're in sales and not take anything personal. Maybe this person's going through whatever the heck it is that week, that day. That'd be one thing.
No, yeah. So those are a few pros. Real quick, it's very quick, it's very cheap, and you're gonna be able to get in contact with property owners within 5 minutes, as long as they're responding to you. If they're responding to you, you're gonna be able to get a response very quickly. Within 10 minutes, you'll have a response. Yes, no, 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 wrong number, wrong number. A few cons to it is that you do have to have a few, more paid services. You do have to skip trace them, which is, it does cost money to skip trace a lot of people, but we're going to go ahead and compare that to, letters in a minute as well, because with the letters, you're going to have to pay for the whole, letter and the postcard, which is going to be more expensive than, a text message, or, a text message and to get the phone number. A letter and postcard is always going to be more expensive. At least in this lifetime, it's always going to be more expensive to send out, a direct mail piece than, just the quick text messages. Another, pro for the land letters, though, is going to be that it saves you a lot of time. It's going to save you a lot of time. That way you don't have to, message a lot of people or call a lot of people.
And when they do call you, they're probably going to be a lot more motivated, since it's an inbound. You're getting an inbound lead rather than you reaching out to them and somebody telling you, hey, you call me.
Yeah, that is very, very true. The leads are going to be way better with direct mail and postcards. The lead quality, you're going to need less leads with direct mail than, say, texting or calling. With, direct mail and postcards, you can get a deal, within 5 calls, within 10 calls. You maybe even get a few deals within, 5 to 10 calls. It's very possible. We've done it before. One of the cons, though, with the mail is going to be that you can't send a whole, direct mail campaign out and you don't get any calls at all. And, that could be because you maybe just that area, that county, maybe they get a lot of letters and postcards and a lot of texts and calls. And you're just the 5th person that's this week or this month that's gave them a card. And you're not going to be getting as many calls back. So that is one that is not as proactive as, texting and calling, and you're kind of just waiting for calls to come in instead of, actively going out there and hunting and, trying to find a deal today. Yeah. With the direct mail, it's kind of like a waiting game at times. So,
yeah. And I honestly think a pro for anybody that has like a regular job who wants to get into real estate on the side, they want to make that leap. I definitely feel that postcards and mailers are the way to go.
For sure.
Because, you're not talking to as much people, but you're taking the calls, and, you could just step aside for a little bit, qualify them, see if that's even a property you want to deal with.
Yeah.
That's a heavy pro for anybody with, any regular person with a job, any type of job, you could take those calls.
Yeah, for sure. If you do have a full-time job, texting and calling may be a little bit more challenging to make time for, but making time just to send out, 300 postcards, you can get that done in a couple hours on the weekend. So that's a very good point. You can do it with a full-time job, sending out letters and postcards, but it is going to be more expensive, and that's going to be one of the cons, with the direct mail. It would be more expensive, and you're going to kind of be waiting more. But if you don't have as much time, that could be a pro. And one more, but we'll touch on cold calling. Cold calling, the pros I would say is that you're able to develop, conversational skills, talking about real estate, talking about land, and you're going to develop that a lot quicker compared to postcards or even text messages, unless you're calling the text message leads right away. But you're going to be able to develop your skill set a lot quicker with cold calling on how to talk to these people as well. As long as you're staying consistent and taking action, you're going to develop those skills, and you're going to be a lot more comfortable talking to these people. And just compared to letters. With letters, you may get 5 to 10 calls on a campaign, maybe more. It really depends. But with cold calling, I mean, you're going to talk to 5 to 10 people in the first 30 minutes or the first hour that you begin cold calling. So those are just a few pros and cons. And you kind of, figure out which one you want to use, and then just go ahead and start pursuing it. Like I said, with the text and cold calling, you can check out batch leads. They're going to be able to help you out in that, be able to help you if you want to send out text messages or cold calling. They're going to be able to help you set that up. Yeah. So those are going to be a few, pros and cons. Those are going to be a few services that you can use. Batch leads for dialer, for SMS marketing. Batch leads also, you can get the list from there. But me personally, I don't like getting the land list from batch leads. Batch leads, y'all need to step it up on that end. Not gonna lie, because certain counties you can pull and it won't give you as many results as it does on PropStream. That's just something I've noticed. But all right, y'all. So we left y'all with a lot of game right there. We're gonna do a quick 2 to 3 minute recap, just so you're able to go ahead and refresh your memory on what you need to do.
Dropped a lot of sauce.
Step 1 is gonna be picking that market. Once you pick that market, it's going to be a county. You're going to pick the state. You're going to pick the county. Once you get that county picked out, if you're able to go ahead and find a few areas in that county that have a lot of land sales going on, then go ahead and pull a list. Step 2 is going to be pulling a list for that county and for that pocket in that subdivision. On PropStream, you're able to go ahead and use the draw tool so that, on PropStream, you're going to be able to use the draw tool so that you're able to just highlight that little pocket and that has those cells in, and from there you just click in vacant land and just pull all the landowners in that pocket. Like I said, there's other lists that you can use if you just want to target the whole county real quick, and that's going to be out-of-state owners and tax delinquents.
Okay.
But picking either going after a few of those, either picking the tax delinquents and out-of-state owners list, or finding those pockets and pulling the list for the landowners in those pockets.
Okay.
That's going to be step 2. Once you have those lists, like I said, I would get at least 2,000 to 5,000 people on those lists. If it's that big, if it's not that big, then it's okay as well.
Step 3.
Step 3 is going to be, marketing to those land sellers and to those landowners. So, if that's, text messaging, cold calling, or land letters and land postcards. And those are going to be, and picking the market, getting the list, and what type of marketing you want to do. Once you have that type of marketing you want to do, begin marketing to those people.
Have conversations.
Yeah, begin marketing to those people right away. If you're sending letters, send them out within the 7 days after you have the county picked out. In that same week, get the market picked out, get those lists, figure out which way you want to market to, based on your, skill set, on your comfortability of talking to people. You can send text messages out, and when somebody replies, you just begin texting them back, or cold calling those people. If you're a vibrant, outgoing person, you want to call people, cold calling is gonna be a great way. If you're a little bit more laid back, a little bit more shy, you don't like to talk to as many people, then letters are gonna be a great. And if you don't have as much time, letters are gonna be a great place for you to go ahead and start.
Yes, sir.
So that's just a quick recap of everything that we kind of just went over. And if you have any questions at all, please go ahead and drop them in the comment section down below. Always feel free to go ahead and DM me or Gabriel on, Instagram or even Facebook. And we'll go ahead and drop those down below as well. Just so you're able to go ahead and reach us. We don't really care about, the following too much right now. We just want you to be able to go ahead and start taking action steps to go ahead and start doing land deals in the next 30 to 60 days. If you follow these steps right now, you're picking a great market, you're getting the list for that market, and you're marketing to those land sellers
consistently
and every day, this is going to be able for you to go ahead and start doing deals within the next 1 to 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to be it for y'all. That's going to be it for today's episode. So we hope y'all got a lot of value out today's episode.
Don't get lost in the sauce, baby.
Don't get lost. It's very simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Picking the market, getting that list, and marketing. Get all that done this week. If you're active, if you want to get started in land wholesaling or land investing, doing that, getting that all in the next 7 days. And in next week's video, we're going to show you on how you can price, the land postcards, on what to offer, and how to negotiate and close a deal. So if that's something you're looking forward to, like I said, don't forget to subscribe. And if you got value out of today's video, like it and share it with somebody else that, hey, you might be want to do land investing with. But other than that, y'all, it's going to be it for today's episode. And we're going to catch you in next week's great episode we got coming for y'all. But other than that, till next time, aight.